Good morning. My name is Dr. Kevin Ford, and I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated Gamma Pi chapter, and I'm the chairman of the Health Initiative Committee. And this morning we'll be doing our monthly webinar focusing in on Alzheimer's, and this is the third of our three-part series. And we're happy to be partnering with the Alzheimer's Association, and we have Ms. Karen Fagan, who will be introducing our speaker today. Ms. Fagan.
Thank you, Dr. Ford, and thank you, Gamma Pi members. Dr. Shirley Young is our speaker today, and she is a volunteer support group facilitator as well as a certified community educator with the association. She is a native of New York, and after her retirement in 1998, she moved to Hampton, Virginia. Since 2015, she's been a resident of Upper Marlboro, and following a career in healthcare, she chose to maintain that connection and became involved with the local health departments and the departments of aging. She cared for her mother for 12 years, and during that time, she began volunteering with the Alzheimer's Association as a support group facilitator and early stage engagement facilitator. She is now also, in addition, a certified community educator. She's been a volunteer with the association now for 15 years. And thank you. Let me go ahead and share my screen. See. Can everyone see that?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Dr. Young, you can show your picture now.
Okay. Okay, you ready for me to start?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, good morning to everyone, and I'm glad to be here with you today. Dementia conversations will be our topic of discussion this morning. Next slide. Some of the most difficult conversations are going to be when we go to the doctor. We have some difficulties knowing what to say and why we're there. Deciding when it is necessary to stop driving, a very tough decision. Making legal and financial plans to cover future care needs, and trust that you will be able to receive some information from these three particular areas. Next slide. So today's program will provide tips on how to break the ice and have the most common difficult conversations, help you plan ahead and build a care team that communicates well, give you the opportunity to hear from people who are dealing with similar issues, and also to give you connections with helpful resources. Next slide. These are some statements that individuals might make. My sister lives close by and she can help. She's always been fiercely independent, and if I step in, she will be offended. And that's a thought, but not the truth, because we need to make a breakthrough for their help in order to help them to get through the next moment. We're just starting to notice some changes. We're not sure there is even a problem. Well, when you start thinking like that, it has to relate to a problem, and we must do something about that thought. You're busy with your own life. Many of us are, but then we have to step back and consider the other person. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Pay attention to that and see how often that remark is given for us to give some thought. Are they really fine? Should we worry about them? Wait till you're my age. Think are a little harder than it used to be. Thinking might be a little harder than it used to be. Yes, the thinking will make a change, and it will be difficult, as I've learned in hearing, in helping others to know how to care. This definitely is a statement of truth. Next slide. Sooner is better than later. Don't wait for a crisis. Very true. Develop a plan for using finesse. Absolutely. Take notes about the changes you see, definitely, because that's going to help you to know what it is you need to do for your loved one. And practice in advance to have that successful conversation. And talk with, I cannot see that, books and I guess other types of materials that we can make use of in helping them with conversations. Next slide. Conversations about going to the doctor. They will be fearful. They will become angry because they don't want to go. And of course, that can become a stigma with them. They have to go. Why? Because we need a diagnosis. And we have to find a way of saying, you're not showing me that things are normal with you. Whatever way you feel you can speak to them to help them to see what you are trying to convey, you do that. I've always been able to say, once this diagnosis is given, they become a child in an adult body. And I take the child life down to the stage of a toddler. So that would mean you would have to talk to them in the staging of being a toddler. No, you know they're in an adult life stage, but that's the way of processing what's needed to be done. They need a checkup. You need medical care. There has to be a pattern established, and the only way you're going to do it is being able to share with them what's needed to be done. Next slide. Okay, Donna's going to speak.
I think you have to be honest. I think that's the important thing with it. To get a loved one to the doctor, I think you just need to be candid and honest of what are you trying to do. We're trying to understand what we're up against. It's just so important to do that, because you can't battle something that you don't know what you're battling. Again, it could have been, it may not have been Alzheimer's, it could have been depression, it could have been so many other things. And guess what? There's other things you can do to take care of those issues as well. But that's what you need to be able to do. You know, you can't ignore something. It's not going to go away.
Now, tips to help with the conversation going to the doctor. You can use words that are most comfortable for the person, but I try to share with families to take notes. We can't always remember everything by the time the doctor's appointment is scheduled for you to go. Write things down, have a pad that you can keep for your logging reference. And in that way, when you go to the appointment with your loved one, you will be able to share with the doctor the observations of things that you had noticed from the last time they had been there. And that helps you in managing them once you have them examined completely with these particular issues, then you'll see things differently in their care. Next slide. Okay. Suggest Medicare's free annual wellness visit. I'm learning that doctors have, a good doctor will have that already set up in their appointment schedule, because I'm under that particular type of service right now. And when they said to me, your next appointment is your Medicare wellness visit, then I know why I have that appointment with my doctor. And that is showing you how well your doctor is managing your care for each time that you have to come for a visit. pair an enjoyable outing with the doctor's visit? Yes, you can, because that's a day that you don't have to fuss to say, I want to take you out or let's do this. While you're out, allow that day to be a day of fun after the doctor's visit. Staying in the house too long is not the way to go. Keep their life active, just the way it somewhat was before the condition. And in that way, they are flowing with some normalcy of everyday activeness. Invite family to communicate concerns and questions to the doctor. Yes, that can work. It worked for my mom. 5 daughters, yes, it worked for my mom. So that we all had a time to go to my mom's doctor's appointment and share our own views, because all of us had different thoughts. Can I see that one? If still, try to do some therapy. I would say therapy can be in different forms. It's not to say it has to be so totally physical. Therapy could be communicating with other people, someone else coming to pick them up and take them out, takes them away from the sedentary setting that most of us keep our loved ones in. So whatever differences you can use for your loved one, giving them the activeness of considered like a therapeutic motivation is good to have. Conversations about when to stop driving. Well, this definitely is a serious decision making. Accidents is one way. I have a girlfriend with Alzheimer's, and it had her to have 3 accidents behind each other. And the last incident, she actually damaged her car, totaled it. And that's when it was decided that she could no longer continue to drive. Traffic tickets can be another reason why. Scrapes on the cars, okay. Mistakes while driving, okay. But when they get lost and cannot find their way back home, do not know how to contact anybody, and then the cops find them, then you know that they can no longer drive. So there'll be different types of incidents that will allow you to know they cannot drive. My dad, who did not have dementia, but was a diabetic patient who was out of control, went into complication, slept on a light, had cars honking on a main thoroughfare. And that was when he could no longer drive, when the cops had to take him aside, find out who he was. And then when the family got notified, that's when the doctor had us to know my dad couldn't drive anymore. So there's going to be different types of incidents to make that decision. Next slide. So Chris is going to talk.
There's no exact answer on this is when you stop driving. You can tell when coming up to an intersection, as an example, the ability to understand what's going on around you was starting to deteriorate a little bit. Being on the highway with cars on both sides becomes a little bit more difficult. And first and foremost, the safety of everybody in the car as well as other drivers on the road. You think about that, and you want to make sure you're not putting anybody in danger. But then the difficult part is telling your dad, who you love, and you know he loves driving, and he's used to it, that he can no longer do that. But then even then, taking the keys away full time was very difficult. The doctor was very helpful in just saying, medically, you can't do this anymore. But my mother had the hardest time with this because she knew how much this was going to hurt him as well. And this is one of the first things that we had to deal with as a family when it came to telling my dad that he had to stop doing something because of this disease. That meant a lot to him.
Plan ahead before an accident occurs. Well, you can do that, as I'm seeing today, using certain apps on the cell phone. You're able to do that with family at home, knowing where you are. Should you call, they will say, this is what you are to do. That is showing favorable results. Express your concern about specific changes you notice, by all means. Do not hesitate not to do that. Because you want them to understand changes have taken place with them. So you don't want to just avoid the situations that are occurring, knowing that they are in danger when they go out, because you do not know what the mind is going to do at a split moment. So being aware, staying alert as family members while your loved one is out, as long as you have a way of knowing that they are in a certain area by preparing these particular apps, then you'll be comfortable knowing that, okay, they'll call soon, or either let me call them and see how they're sounding. In that way, you are in a connection with them. And this, I think, is great with the latest technology that we do have. Appeal to the person's sense of responsibility and concern for others. Yes, because seriously, they can have an accident. And you really don't want them to be hurt, let alone hurt someone else. Visually is a real concern in their driving, besides the memory. The visual part of their condition can really shift, and it can cause fear as to what might happen, or should they be out there anyway. And you're not able to really tell them they cannot drive. That takes on a serious, serious change for their life, to give up keys to no longer go out to their car is difficult. But there's ways that we're learning how to process with the doctor's help that makes it a little easier. Okay, Sheila is going to speak.
Some tips on having the conversation is pointing out, especially for my father, the potential danger to others that it may cause if he's behind the wheel. And just talking about it from the standpoint that this is not only the best thing for you, but this is also the best thing for others around you. And these are some of the alternatives, making sure that this is what's going to happen, having a plan. If mom can't take you, then Uncle Thomas or some, will be here to take you, and we will make sure that you're getting out of the house and that you're doing some things. So, presenting the bad news, but then also presenting the plan. And for my father, that's really, really important to have a plan.
Okay, plan ahead before an accident occurs, definitely, because you want them to feel comfortable with them knowing that they have a problem, but want them to be comfortable as much as you can do, because this condition goes into staging, and so you really want to keep things in a controlled pattern for them. And express your concern about specific changes you notice, talk about it. And in that way, they can gradually understand that something is going to come down the pipe soon, because they really have a mind of thoughts. They are going through changes, yes, but they still have a mind of thoughts. An appeal to the person's sense of responsibility and concern for others. give him that or she that kind of a reminder. Offer alternate plans for transportation only if they're going to be accompanied, not to travel outside of them driving. I do not recommend they leaving from their home to travel by bus, or if a cab, Uber gonna take them and pick them up and they know that, but actually allow someone to accompany them if you really want them to use alternate plans, because the memory does not hold very well that they have left da-da-da address and gone to da-da-da location and believe that they will get there. Next slide. Oh, I cannot see what it says there. Karen, can you read that for me?
Yes, incorporate the voice of an esteemed professional and have empathy.
Okay, we can use someone to help us to understand what it is that they need to know. You can do that. You can do that through our association if it's necessary. You can do that professional contact through the doctors, by doctor's appointments, for whatever assistance you know that you need other than your voice. Because a lot of times, many of them are very rebellious. We know that, but it's understandable. But try to get as much support for your loved one so that you don't feel the stress of what it is that you must do daily. Okay. This will be Wendy talking.
Talking to somebody about stopping driving, I think it's most important to understand that that is tied to someone's independence more than most things. And so by saying you can't do this anymore is like telling the person, it's like ripping away their independence. And that doesn't feel good for anybody. I know that I've always tried to put myself in that situation. What would I think if someone was saying this to me? You don't get to do this anymore. And how would I feel? And how would I want somebody to talk to me about this? And so if you try to I think sometimes too many people try to approach it as, very punitive. And I'm doing what's right for you. So why don't you understand, without really turning the tables and putting themselves in that position, understanding, how helpless that feels to take those things away. It's important to be thoughtful about what that experience is like for the individual.
Okay. When to stop driving, maximize independence. Okay, there are options, there are choices, there's planning. To stop driving is seriously going to be something you must watch each time that they go out in their car. I right now have a client and the wife is slowly going to have to say to him, you're not going to be able to drive. It's a discussion we are having. They've gone to North Carolina on a trip. And then she allows him to take the car and go to the barber shop, go to the store to buy something, and says he's going to be back at a certain time, and he gets lost. So when to stop driving has to be definitely determined on what occurrences shows you they are no longer capable. And then that's going to be between the doctor helping them to understand they cannot drive and the fact that they have done some serious incidents to not allow them to go back into their vehicle again. So that's going to really be a serious session with the family and with the physician in order to break that person down to know that can I go back into their car anymore. Maximizing independence, that's something of an observance, because there are incidents that will allow you to say to them, I'm going to go with you. We're going to go together. Or a grandchild is already in preparation. Your granddaughter is going to go with you. These are things that you are noticing as the caregiver, that they're no longer able to really be independent. Sometimes in the early stage, they can be for a while. And then the staging starts making its changes. And that's when you know there's some serious discussions that have to be made with them. For legal and financial planning, that really should have been done prior to the condition being diagnosed. There's something about people and their mindset of making decisions and saying, oh, I'm too young. Wait till maybe till I'll get 70. I'm saying do your business before age of 70. We have no idea what conditions can fall upon us that we're not able to make legal and financial planning with cognitivity of knowing what we're doing. I'm trying to share with people, as soon as you approach your retirement, which might be 55, 62, 65, have your planning of legal and financial matters in place. Because after that, if you happen to develop dementia, you're just not able to understand what needs to be done. Next slide. And Chris is going to talk again.
Financially, this disease will increase the cost of living. It's just a fact. So planning for those extra costs is that much more important than what you were planning for before. And so you have to review everything that's in place, see what changes need to be made, both legally and financially, and you have to monitor that going forward afterwards too.
For legal and financial planning, you may feel reluctant. Many of us do. Uncomfortable, definitely. Intrusive, yes. And some of us take it such as being disrespectful to your parents. That's why I say do your business matters of this nature at an early age when the mind is totally alert with understanding that, yes, someone needs to have some information about my matters now while I'm able to talk and able to consciously understand why it's important. Talk about it. Because as we mature in age, medical conditions will bring about changes with us that we had no clue was coming about. So yes, all of these feelings can actually arise when it comes to talking about legal and financial matters. Next. Okay, this is Julie. Okay.
Here's what I've come to after all of this. That it's the most loving and kind thing you can do for them is to be honest with them and say, this is like a really scary thing. And I feel a lot of discomfort bringing this up to you. But you know, I tell them, if you're going to be the one who's going to take them on this journey, then you have to tell them, I'm going to be here on this journey with you. And there are things that we have to do to get this in place. We're going to go on this journey together. I've told you I'm going to be here with you till the end. So let's get this ready. It's like we're going to go on an ocean ship. We've got to get things packed up. We've got to figure out what we're taking with us. We got to get ready. And the things that we have to get ready, we have to make sure that we know which doctors you're going to be using. I need to get this signed, okay? So that if you go in there and they have to do surgery, for example, I got to have this durable power of attorney for healthcare for you. I have to have this worked out, okay? Now, if for some reason, okay, you need to go to rehab after something, I have to have these documents here, the financial stuff, so I can get these things taken care of for you while this is going on. I don't want to have anything get in the way of us being able to progress and keep doing this. I said, it seems hard because it's hard in our heads. You know, everybody's read about people who've stolen from elderly people, who've done these horrible things. But if you're the person who's approaching this with loving kindness and compassion, and you're willing to take this person on this journey, you're not doing a bad thing. You're doing the right thing by talking to them about it. And you approach it from the standpoint of, I'm here for you. I'm doing this for you. We're going to do this together, and I'm going to help you through this. And these are the tools that I need to make sure that we can do this.
Gave a very excellent presentation of letting you know the importance of doing this. And as it's telling us here, begin by explaining that you're in this together. Yes, very important. Select that person who you know will stand under that truth. That's why it's best to do it at an early aging time and not at the mercy of, wow, I've been diagnosed, what do I do, and haven't even done it. And then there you are, and you're in a state of confusion. What's next? Okay. Start by asking questions and gathering documents. Very important. Explain that these are your standard plans that need to be made as you get older. Very important for you to understand that, but also what to do about that, and to have a person who you can trust, who you know you can depend on, and break the conversation into parts and try different times and locations. If that's necessary in your particular case, that can work well in breaking down your preparation and planning.
Involve others as needed.
Okay, so that however way you are putting it together, be sure that you have all persons that you want to be involved with your planning set, and then let it legally be finalized and the papers properly distributed to the individuals that needs to have copies. Next. Your team should be the family. I really urge that. I found that it worked for my mom when all of us played a role and kept her in the love and the happiness that we always knew her to be prior to the diagnosis. So we rotated, and that rotation was very effectual. And at the same time, her girlfriends knew of her sickness. They played a role. So this type of setting, if it's going to be just family, allow that to happen. If it's going to be family and friends, allow that to happen. If it's going to be family, friends, community, church, however broad you want to make it, prepare, and it will do well for your loved one. Next. Medical team, yes, very strong. How often you're seeing your doctors, and how much information are they giving you each time you go for your appointment. And I really impress upon seeing not just your general doctor, but your neurologist as well. And these appointments will help you to know how you're managing your loved one, especially where the stages are concerned, and whether or not you are doing the proper things in those stages. The thing that I really talk about a lot is not to keep them sedentary, keep them active. Keeping them sedentary weakens them. But if you keep them in activity, connections, doing things, going out of the house, takes on a whole different perspective of their lifestyle in this condition, because there is that. Peers can be those who you wish to connect them to. They could have had social interests. If you keep them connected, it does much for them. What I'm trying to show is show love. In the workplace, can you set up a care team? You can bring in their coworkers with them. Let their coworkers know that they have the condition. Some of them took sick on their job, and some jobs shut them down, but you can reconnect them to their former job and allow them to say, you can come and visit and play a role. Community resources are much. Through our Alzheimer's Association, I just came off of a session this week letting us know there are more resources outside of Alzheimer's that families can have access to. So there is much that is available, and they highlighted in this particular session about the church. This is something new for me to hear, because church was never talked about when I started out with Alzheimer's, but now they play a role in connecting to the condition and to the community of spirituality they would like the families to consider. So there's much to give assistance to your loved ones here. Remember, no one can provide all of this support alone. That's true. You form a care team and talk with the family about concerns as they arise, talk about it. And that's what I was able to find with caring for my mom. When you bring in the family and everybody takes a role, it breaks it down so that there's not one person, but many persons caring for your loved one. And this is so important. And so we are available to help you. You just go to our alzheimers.org and just search for what you might need. There's much resource information available about our Dementia Caregiver Center and Safety Center. Our 800 number is available. It is excellent service. Even 3 o'clock in the morning, you can get service, and it's available for you to use. And there's support groups that you can find, and it'll tell you the persons and their phone numbers to make it available for you in convenience of states, city locations. For Maryland, in the various counties, it will let you know who to contact. And then there's free online education programs available as well, because I'm a part of that training program. You can get involved by walking when we have our time that's coming up in September, the longest day we held this month in June, and an advocate. That is some serious work, being an advocate, but you are giving some support to the association through advocacy. And they're looking for persons to commit to the trial match. That was a part of the conference that I had this week, trying to encourage us to become a sponsor, a person to say, yes, I will commit myself for a child. And I just hope that you've been able to get much information from this presentation today, and we thank you for having us. If
Well,
there's
Dr.
any
Young,
questions,
that was an excellent presentation, loaded with so much information for the community. Just wanted to highlight a couple of things that you talked about in your presentation,
okay.
and mention going to the doctor, getting a Medicare annual wellness exam, and that's something that Medicare requires us to do as a physician. Patients that's 65 and over who have Medicare, and there are certain things that you should look for when you get this Medicare wellness, and that's when we screen for dementia, right? Every year, screening
Yes.
for depression, screening
Yes.
for fall risk, right? Patients that have their vision. We talked about vision and driving, and that's important because if you can't see, you shouldn't be out on
Right.
have thick cataracts. That's one of the most common things
Yes.
for patients that have dementia. And another thing that Medicare wellness exam covers also is planning, right? We do what's called advanced directives, and the advanced directives will discuss with the patient about, if something happens to them, who's going to make decisions for them, right? Where they can't make decisions for themselves. Also, finances. I think that's important. You brought that up about finances and not waiting until you can't make decisions, because then it's hard to
Yes.
actually implement or anything.
Yes, it is.
So those are some great points. I know anyone that has elderly parent or siblings or brothers, sisters, this is so important, this information that you just gave us.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Very important. And just even a story about when to stop driving. I think it's important for people to be observant with their family members. Scratches on car, oh, just got in a fender bender. If they keep getting all of those things. And then obviously the biggest thing is if they ever call and say, hey, I don't know where I am, and it's somewhere where they've been 1,000 times.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So that's a real red flag as to when you should really, begin the process of trying to stop them from driving. And the physician bringing them into the physician's office to try to make sure that they understand why. That's important. And sometimes you may even have to call it the motor vehicle, right? To take their license, or even get rid of their car, because some people, even though you tell them, they're going to get in that car even if they don't have a license.
Yes.
So those are things.
Absolutely.
Yes. So those are some of the things that I think we just really recapped. The other thing that I think hurt us a lot, which hurt a lot of different facets, is COVID. Now, you mentioned, getting people out to, whether it's a adult daycare center or community resources, and just being stuck in the house over the last couple of years has really been traumatic for a lot of patients.
Yeah.
And we all been getting a little depressed over that. So hopefully things are starting to change a little bit. We'll be able to get out and socialize a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Well, I think we've come upon our hour here, and I really appreciate Ms. Fagan for the 3-part series on dementia. And I think we've covered multiple aspects of dementia, the different types of dementia, and all the different conversations, and just so much information over these last 3. It'll be all 3 series will be on our Facebook page at Gamma Pi Live, and we have a lot of people that have been tuning into it. So again, I appreciate it, and I thank you for coming. And we'll stay in touch, as we mentioned, Ms. Fagan and Dr. Young. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been a pleasure to meet with you and the members of Gamma Pi. Thank you, Dr. Young.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, and have a great weekend. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye, you too.
Bye-bye.